This episode is brought to you by Netflix. This Monday night, witness the end of an era. John Cena takes center stage for his final appearance ever on Monday Night Raw. One last match, one unforgettable farewell. Come celebrate the legacy of a true WWE legend. Monday Night Raw, November 17th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time, only on Netflix. Be there for the moment everyone will be talking about.
This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Carvana makes car selling fast and easy from start to finish. Enter your license plate or VIN and get a real offer in seconds, down to the penny. If you accept, Carvana will come pick up your car from your driveway. Or you can drop it off at one of our car vending machines. Either way, you get paid instantly. It's fast, transparent, and 100% online. Car selling that saves your time. That's Carvana.
Carvana.
Pickup fees may apply.
Running a business comes with a lot of what-ifs. But luckily, there's a simple answer to them. Shopify. It's the commerce platform behind millions of businesses, including Thrive Cosmetics and Momofuku, and it'll help you with everything you need. From website design and marketing to boosting sales and expanding operations, Shopify can get the job done and make your dream a reality. Turn those what-ifs into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to this edition of There Can Only Be One, the podcast that puts together the all-star best of playlists of your favorite bands and artists. Hello to all of our listeners in Dumont, New Jersey, and around the world. How the heck you guys doing? I am looking forward to this because normally I've got a good idea of the music that I'm getting into. And even if I don't know everything, I have a familiarity with who we are talking about. That is not today, because this week it was guest choice. And here to guest on this show, Carson Elcome is back on the show. Carson, how you doing, man?
I am living the dream. And that's no pun intended, given about the albums we're about to go into. But no, I'm doing well. I'm stoked for this one. This is an episode that'll be close to my heart in a lot of ways.
This episode, of course, is all about Sturgill Simpson. Now, when Carson said, hey, do you want to do an episode on Sturgill Simpson? My first thought was, who? And then he explained to me, it's like, oh, yeah, no. You know that film, The Dead Don't Die? And instantly I had a twitch in my eyebrow because if you listen to our podcast, it's not that bad. I have raged about that movie in the past, even though I can find an MVP in that film. But the song, The Dead Don't Die, that is featured heavily in that movie and is actually a comedic point at some points during that movie, is written by the one and only Sturgill Simpson. Luckily, that song isn't even in the equation today because it didn't appear on any of his albums.
That's probably for the best, too.
I mean, the song wasn't bad.
I mean, yeah, fair enough. I think there's just too many terrible memories associated with it.
Those terrible memories consisting of the entire film of The Dead Don't Die. But what we are going to be doing is going through 8 albums from the Sturgill Simpson discography. One we are not covering is To the Wind and On to Heaven. Now, this is the album that he recorded with his first band, Sunday Valley. We are only covering Sturgill Simpson's solo career. And we're going to start at June 11th, 2013, and the release of High Top Mountain, hit number 31 on the Billboard Top Country Albums. There was one single off of this one, and I love the title of the song, Life Ain't Fair and the World Is Mean, but it did not chart. Now, I have put out there on this podcast that I'm not necessarily a country guy. I don't hate country. I'm just not as familiar with everyone around in this country. So this was all brand spanking new to me. So Carson, I might be leaning on you a little bit during this episode, but for a debut album, High Top Mountain, how was it for you?
For someone's debut album, it's unbelievably tight. Like, truthfully, like there's not a whole lot of negative points I have about it, especially when I feel like a lot of artists' kind of introduction and first stab at it is always a little raw. And there's definitely some of that here, but I would say based on like a cohesive story, he's a really good storyteller. And that has always been kind of prominent in my mind with his music. And there's just a lot of positives here for a starting artist. And I would say a lot of the album is pretty similar in structure, like especially between like chords and melodies. It's a very kind of, I guess that's the best way to say it. It's a tight and cohesive album, and I think that's a really good and traditional positive starting point for especially an artist that definitely strays from this debut album.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The nice thing is, they always say, you have your entire life to rate that first album. Now, again, as I mentioned before, this isn't necessarily Sturgill Simpson's first album as a musician. He did record that one album with Sunday Valley, but of course, this being his solo record. Off this disc, what did you go with?
So for my main pick of High Top Mountain, I went with my personal favorite and one of my favorites in his entire discography, which is You Can Have the Crown. I think it's there's something so comedic about it, but also so real that you listen to the lyrics, you listen to the pacing, and it just feels like an easily relatable song to, I feel like, a lot of age ranges. You could look at it as in your early to mid 20s, 30s, 40s. Like, I feel like everyone kind of goes through that mental anguish at some point that he goes through and kind of progresses through that song. And you can all just kind of relate to the comedy aspect of, well, you know, I'm sitting up here on mountain, you can have the crown. Like, it's poetic.
Yeah, I had that on my short list, absolutely, as well as Railroad of Sin. Like, again, this is not necessarily in my wheelhouse. This is not an album that I would go out of my way to listen to, like, really ever. But I will say that a lot of the songs kind of caught me by surprise. I was actually pleasantly surprised by the variety of different styles that you get. I mean, yes, this is very much a still more traditional Americana folk country style album, but as we get through the discography, you do get a lot of different styles through here.
It's unreal how much range he actually has. And as you get from album to album, you kind of go through almost phases and chunks of like 2 or 3 albums at a time. And there's this clear transition of almost like his life points too. Like, I know he was just starting to date his now partner at the time during High Top Mountain. And it's interesting to see him go from single to dating to married to having his first child. And also like the distinct kind of tones that come with that as his discography like evolves.
Mm-hmm. One thing when I was, making my pick, and normally I lean more into the musical composition of things when it comes to the songs that kind of tickle my ears. Not this time. I have no idea who the song Hero is written for, but holy crap, is there a ton of heart in just this one song? I mean, yes, from a chord progression standpoint, it did. Yes, it hit the ear candy level for me. Hero feels like there's so much more than just chords and words in there. That felt like some emotion in there.
His use of the English lexicon is beautiful too. And I think that's something that a lot of country artists, especially nowadays, like you can really find like the kind of corner we're in at country. And I call it something, at least I call, stadium country, which is that very like poppy, boppy, got some electronic behind it. And I feel like it's now just like talking about beer trucks and painted on blue jeans. And I feel like that niche and that stereotype really draws you away from some of the amazing stories and kind of roots of music in something like what Sturgill does here.
It feels very much to me, and again, I'm trying to relate to other artists that I know. He feels very much to me like a country bluegrass style version of a lyricist like a Greg Graffin from Bad Religion. You do get much more vocabulary in a lot of his lyrics. This isn't just this isn't my truck broke down, my girl left, and my dog is dead. This is much more than that typical cliche kind of country music.
100%. And it's nice to also see that he doesn't stick in this kind of era either, right? Like he doesn't get stale and kind of just sit in this niche. He really grows and builds off of it in something that I don't think for people, maybe even yourself that haven't heard him before, that really expect as the years go on.
Yeah. I mean, when you pitched this episode, I was like, this is going to be really, really tough because I don't know if this is in my wheelhouse. I found it growing into my wheelhouse as I was going through some of the albums.
It's such an emotional progression. And even when I first started listening to him, I want to say 2016, 2017, it really actually took me a little bit to like listen to the songs on repeat and like really get into it before I kind of, it almost like it clicked in my head. And once it did click, it's just been regular sailing with him in and out of my, my radio Bluetooth speaker ever since. So
Meta Modern Sounds in Country Music, released May 13th, 2014, hit number 6 on the Billboard Indie charts, number 8 on the country charts, and number 59 on the Billboard 200, and is gold in the US. There was one single, Turtles All the Way Down, which also won Song of the Year at the 2015 Americana Music Awards. Also at the 2015 Grammys, it was nominated for Best Americana Album, but lost to The River and the Thread by Rosanne Cash. You get so much more diversity of sound in this album. This is definitely a progression in the songwriting skills and the studio work for Sturgill Simpson.
And this is his first big jump, I'd say. Like you go from kind of that grittier outlaw country, like Southern bluesy vibe before, and then you kind of go into his initial step into psychedelic rock and the country in a way that has kind of been scarcely heard anywhere. Like this isn't something that you hear nowadays or at the time of this album releasing. And it's a really cool psychedelic vibe. Obviously in the initial song too, which is my pick, Turtles All the Way Down. He discusses the drugs, his inner power. It just really makes the listening experience like a full mind trip. And it's literally one of the songs that like, I feel like I'm on psychedelics listening to. Like, I feel like I should be on something while taking this in, but it's really rich. It offers a wide range of sound. And I think it's one of his most powerful albums easily.
I'm glad you mentioned like the very psychedelia aspect of this album. On my shortlist was The Promise, which is actually a cover song from British synth pop band When in Rome, a band I had never heard of, from an artist that, aside from The Dead Don't Die, I had never heard of. So discovering way more music. But no, I'm actually going, and I have to go all the way to the end of the album here. It Ain't All Flowers. Holy crap, does this get into like a very trippy vibe? You got a dirty blues, smoky guitar in there. Like, this song feels like late night blues bar jam band kind of stuff. I mean, the bass is walking all over the place. That guitar tone is just dirty at the end of this. And now we're throwing in the blues into that country influence. I like the fact that this album steers away from safe and traditional.
That's what I really love about him too, is that no matter how far he kind of pushes himself and his music and his ability into different genres and ideas, there's always still a level of grassroots blues and that Southern rock aesthetic. And I think that really lends well to each step he takes branching out. Like having that as the root kind of springboard just allows him to do some really cool stuff, but still hold true to kind of where he began.
Oh, absolutely. And again, this album caught me by surprise. And from his early albums, this is one of my more favorite of them, but we'll get to my favorite a little bit later.
Hey there. Try to remember this because I think you're going to need it. QUINCE.com/Pantheon. I'll remind you again in a minute. Okay, with these cold mornings and holiday plans just around the corner, I want my wardrobe to be simple and sharp. I was just pulling out my winter clothes, and right at the front were my Quince cashmere sweaters. Now look, I've been a huge fan for years. They just feel incredible, and they really hold up well. Honestly, seeing them all laid out made me realize I need to grab a few more to get me through this winter. That's the best part about Quince. Their staples are an amazing value, like their famous $50 Mongolian cashmere sweaters that just feel like an everyday luxury. They deliver this quality by partnering directly with ethical factories, cutting out the middlemen. So you get premium quality at half the cost of other high-end brands. My Quince cashmere is definitely what I'm reaching for most this season. Give and get holiday staples that last this season and beyond with Quince. Go to quince.com/Pantheon for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/Pantheon. Free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/Pantheon.
Hi, I'm Jim. I'm not an actor, just a guy living with prostate cancer. My wife and I face each day head on. We asked my doctor about Xtandi enzalutamide.
Xtandi 40 milligram tablets treats men with prostate cancer that has spread to other parts of the body and responds to a medical or surgical treatment to lower testosterone. Xtandi may cause serious side effects: seizure, a brain condition called PRESS, allergic reactions, heart disease that can lead to death, falls and bone fractures, swallowing problems, or choking that can lead to death. Stop Xtandi and get medical help at once if your face, tongue, lip, or throat start swelling. Tell your doctor at once if you faint, have a seizure, quickly worsening headache, decreased alertness, confusion, vision problems, chest pain or discomfort, or shortness of breath. Xtandi can cause harm to an unborn baby or miscarriage. Use birth control during and 3 months after Xtandi. Common side effects include muscle and joint pain, feeling unusually tired, hot flashes, constipation, less appetite, diarrhea, high blood pressure, bleeding, falls, fractures, and headache.
Visit Xtandi.com to watch my story.
Hey there, it's Dr. Sanjay Gupta with some exciting news to share. CNN is now streaming. That means you can read, watch, and stream everything in one subscription. You can watch news live 24/7. You can also explore catch-up videos and explainer videos, and you can also watch the library of CNN's originals, including my latest documentary, It Doesn't Have to Hurt. Just go to cnn.com/all-access.
A Sailor's Guide to Earth, released April 15th, 2016, hit number 1 on the Billboard's top rock, country, and Americana folk charts, and number 3 on the Billboard 200. There were 3 singles off of this one. Brace for Impact, Live a Little, hit number 23 on the adult alternative charts, and their cover of Nirvana's In Bloom hit number 37 on the US rock charts. At the 2017 Grammys, this album won for Best Country Album of the Year and was nominated for Album of the Year, but lost to 25 by Adele like everyone was going to that year. And at the 2017 Americana Music Awards, it won for Album of the Year. Holy crap. This album has my longest short list of this entire run. What a monster album.
This is, and I'll come out and say it, this is my favorite album of all time. Like, regardless of artist, album, anything. Like, this is it for me. This is the peak. I have this album on vinyl. It's constantly spinning, and it's so powerful. Like, this is when I went back, or if I go back to the start of the episode, when I say you kind of feel his albums evolve with what state of life he is in. And I mean, this is really vulnerable. Like, this is him reflecting on being a father through different lenses. Like, from the beginning words of his first song in this, like, you can feel him and speaking about him welcoming a newborn child and pouring out words of love and care that just reflect the precious importance of nurturing new life. And it's such a vulnerable and emotional kind of change from what we're expecting. And not to say that there's not a lot of vulnerability in his other work, but this is just really heartfelt and earnest. And I think it adds to the emotion for me. And there's been many times where I'm absolutely in the car just bopping to stuff on this album. And then there's been a lot of emotional late nights where you're just sitting listening to some of the slower and more emotional parts of this album. And it really comes together for something really unique, really powerful, and something I truly don't think we have seen since, quite honestly.
And I'll admit, I love a good genre flipped cover song. So when I saw that In Bloom was on here, I'm like, whoa, there's a Nirvana song in here. I'll be very honest. This one didn't do it for me. I think I preferred his cover of The Promise a bit more. So I think that fit more. Your thoughts on the In Bloom cover?
It's not my favorite song on here. And it's a lot of people really connect with it who aren't Sturgill fans. Like, if I've shown friends or family or whoever this album, a lot of them actually flock to In Bloom, I find. I think that's just kind of the Nirvana energy and having that history and nostalgia. But to me, it's not super special in terms of a cover. I actually think as we get later in the show, there's another few songs that he redoes that have a little more oomph and emotion to it. Mm-hmm. But I do think I respect that it's a good representation of his distance from the mainstream norms of the country. And you wouldn't really hear this by anyone else, which is interesting. And I do still give a lot of respect to his roots of country, but then using horns and strings and different rhythm that you just wouldn't really hear on country radio, especially. And In Bloom falls into that for me, which I can respect, but it's actually probably the same as you. It's probably actually my least favorite song on the album, even though I still enjoy it.
I mean, I can understand that. I mean, when I see genre flipped Nirvana songs, my initial thought is to go to Tori Amos doing Smells Like Teen Spirit, like that kind of thing, where it became more haunting. And of course, like, how many times have somebody taken, something in the way and made it haunting? This isn't bad, and if it brings new ears to Sturgill Simpson, all the power to him. Not my favorite song for that.
No, I can absolutely agree.
I had to narrow it down. My short list is All Around You, Brace for Impact, Live a Little, and Call to Arms. But for my pick off this disc, I'm going with Breaker's Roar. This song caught me so off guard. I love when the strings are in here, the reverb on his vocals, gorgeous. The slide guitar. Like, this is a gorgeous song. Absolutely gorgeous.
Absolutely. It's stunning. It's stunning. And it's number one on my short list. Like I said, my pick is Call to Arms. And honestly, Breaker's Roar was so, like, I juggled it honestly up until probably 2 hours ago when I was leaving work, and I was just going over the spreadsheet again. And I was like, do I put Breaker's Roar as number one? And I decided against it just for reasons we'll get into later in the episode, but it could have been switched either way. And truth be told, Call to Arms, I don't know if you've ever seen his set when he was on SNL, but this is one he played, and it's just an incredible live performance. And truth be told, one of the best SNL performances of all time. Mm-hmm. And just to see this former like outlaw country, rigid, gritty, go to this type of tone of album, but then get on SNL and show that to millions upon millions of people is pretty special too. And the energy that song has, like, if you haven't seen the live video of this song and during SNL, like, go and watch it, because it is unreal, the energy it carries.
Sound and Fury, released September 27th, 2019. Also, there's an anime style movie on Netflix called Sturgill Simpson Presents Sound and Fury. Something I wasn't expecting at all from this. This feels like something like Daft Punk would do for sure.
Did you watch the anime?
I have not yet. It's actually on my list of things to watch because it was curious.
It's actually pretty cool. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, it's nothing insane. It's nothing groundbreaking, but it is cool to see, like, this former still country artist, but this grassroots country artist go from an outlaw style into the psychedelia into a very emotional, bluesy, just insanely powerful album, and then going right into like an anime style rock album. Like it's insane. It's unreal, the trajectory.
The album hit number 3 on the US country and rock charts and number 12 on the Billboard 200. There was one single off of this one, Sing Along, hit number 7 on the adult alternative charts and number 17 on the rock charts. And at the 2021 Grammys, it was nominated for Best Rock Album, but lost to The New Abnormal by The Strokes. So yeah, this is a left turn musical style. Like, before, you're getting very country, very Americana, very folk, and then it's like, we're going to turn the amplifiers to 11 and we're going to release this album. Like, how much of a curveball for you is this?
So I remember waiting for this album to come out and being really excited, because obviously you're coming off of A Sailor's Guide to Earth, and that is, regardless of who you are, that type of album is hard to beat and hard to, what's the word I'm looking for?
To top,
exactly. And this definitely isn't what I think myself and a lot of fans expected when he announced he was doing a rock album. Even like, I heard, he's Sturgill Simpson's doing a rock album. I'm like, I think he's kind of already has in certain ways, but okay, like, bring it on. But it's heavy. It's in your face. There's a lot of just different sound is the best way I can put it. It definitely holds to a pretty standard theme, and you can see how this was backing a Netflix original anime and whatever that artistic idea was. I mean, props to you. It's
how does that even come up? Like, again, I get the Sturgill Simpson at this point now is a Grammy winner. Congratulations at that point. But you're like, all right, now Netflix is going to take this country artist doing a more rock album and we're going to animate the crap out of it.
It definitely feels like a more of a self-pleasing experiment rather than digestible art, especially given his trajectory and kind of what we're expecting from him at this point in his career. But then again, I'll go back to what I said at the start, where you see the phases, and I'm like, at this point in time, his kid is like terrible twos, toddler, and I'm like, I don't know, maybe he just need to get it out. I have no idea. And I mean, for that reason, my favorite and my pick for this album is Remember to Breathe, just because I think it's the most unique in sound. And truth be told, like, this isn't my favorite album of his to begin with anyway, but I do find this one coming up the most. And it's boppy. It's got some cool psychedelic elements, which I have come to learn and love of his. And then on the shortlist side of things, I went with Best Clockmaker on Mars for a very similar reason. I feel like they're two very unique songs in an album that does sound pretty heavy, is in your face, does kind of blend together at times.
Yeah. And the other thing too is that he feels like he writes more concept albums. You know, A Sailor's Guide to Earth, you could definitely tell that to be like a full story journey through that whole album. This, clearly, it's a concept album. You know, and then eventually when we get to the Ballad of Dude and Juanita, of course it's a concept album. So, and it is hard sometimes to pull one song out of a concept album and go, yeah, this is the one, because you almost need the whole story in most parts. It wasn't that hard for me, though. I mean, yeah, Remember to Breathe is pretty good. I also had Best Clockmaker on Mars on my short list. But then you get to All Said and Done. And oh, do I love this song. Like, this is the one that really stood out to me as, you know, almost like the safe place for people who were looking for a Sturgill Simpson song in amongst all the new that this is putting forward.
It was definitely the safest and most comfortable song for new ears, I think, for sure. Like, yeah, when I resonate on it and I feel it, like, I'm definitely comfortable listening to it. I don't feel like I'm trying to force myself through points. So I can definitely like appreciate that grounded nature to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you still have that dirty, heavy blues guitar sound that resonates through the whole album, but you also have an almost ethereal vibe that kind of works through that song.
It's peaceful in a way, and it's kind of trippy that way. Like, it definitely is elevating, and truth be told, it was my number 3, like, so, or a second on my short list, so I can respect it.
Cutting Grass Volume 1, The Butcher Shop Sessions. Now, this is bluegrass renditions of songs from his first 4 albums. Released October 16th, 2020, hit number 2 on the US country charts and number 24 on the Billboard 200. And at the 2022 Grammys, was nominated for Best Bluegrass Album, but lost to My Bluegrass Heart by Bella Fleck. Bluegrass, another change of pace here, because we went from country Americana folk to dirty rock to conceptual whatever. Now we get bluegrass renditions. Your thoughts on this disc?
Like, it's honestly, like, to be completely honest, when this first came out, it was the album of his that I listened to the least. Like, it came out and I was just kind of like, oh, okay, like, it's a bluegrass rendition of what he's been doing. But as I've grown to appreciate his style more and his artistry, I'm definitely like, yeah, duh. Like, why would he not come out and do a bluegrass album on the trajectory he was on? Like, it just nowadays feels like the more natural step in his career. Like, when I got it and I first listened to it, I was like, oh yeah, like, whatever. Like, once again, Sturgill's just on his rocker, off his rocker, doing bluegrass now. And then nowadays I sit here and I'm like, no, this is brilliant. Like, I really do enjoy the different vibe, especially a lot of his songs being redone from Sailor's Guide to Earth, because I think it's cool to have a different, truth be told, more boppy, light version of some really emotional songs.
I think the one thing that kind of threw me a little bit for this album is that a lot of them kind of felt like they were sounding the same, and it didn't elevate them from the original ones.
Yeah, I can absolutely get behind that. And truthfully, to go back to even what I said before during A Sailor's Guide to Earth and saying it was a toss-up between Call to Arms and Breaker's Roar, and I ended up going with Breaker's Roar at the top of my short list simply because I chose it here as my pick for number 1, just because, I don't know, like, this was one he did live. I can't remember where, but I watched it on some, I can't remember if it was an award show or a talk show, something like that. And this was kind of the song he decided to go with for the release of the album. And it stuck with me. I liked the different take about it. And with it, it's just was I feel like I could listen to Breaker's Roar without being like sitting at a fire in the middle of summer at 10 with like a whiskey in my hand. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. See, it's funny because you kind of did the same thing that I did almost in reverse. Because I did pick Breaker's Roar off of A Sailor's Guide to Earth, I didn't pick it here, but it was the only song on my short list because it is still a good song. But I feel like the Sailor's Guide to Earth version is the more pure version of the song.
Yeah.
But one song from Sailor's Guide to Earth I found turned out better on this disc, and that was All Around You.
Yeah, that was my short list. It was All Around You.
I just find it funny that all of a sudden we have our roles reversed here. But yeah, All Around You, I think actually was elevated from the original recording because before it just kind of was there, right? Here, it almost stands out to me as the best song on this disc of bluegrass covers of himself.
It's, to me, All Around You and Sailor's Guide to Earth was relatively close with In Bloom, and I definitely agree where it's the one that stands out here next to, well, still Breaker's Roar in my opinion, but it's just nice to see a song that maybe didn't get all the love it needed or deserved or kind of sat with back 4 years ago, that it came back and he did it well. So like, I will take it.
Cutting Grass Volume 2, The Cowboy Arms Session. So yeah, more bluegrass versions. Released December 10th, 2020. Hit number 14 on the US country charts and number 30 on the Billboard 200 and number 6 on the Swedish vinyl charts. And if I'm being honest, I prefer Volume 2 to Volume 1.
Yeah, I am the exact same way. It's almost like that first chunk in Volume 1 was his kind of testing phase, and this one is a lot more refined. And for that reason, it's funny because despite me enjoying Volume 2 more, the two songs I have chosen, I only have one shortlist song and one pick, are once again both off of A Sailor's Guide to Earth, which I did try to like branch out and like I really did. I was like, do I want to be basic and do 2 albums with 4 of the same songs that have been a part of an album from 4 or 5 years prior? And then I was like, yes, I do, because they're great. So I went with Oh Sarah as my number 1, just because similar to Breaker's Roar in Volume 1, Oh Sarah just gets a nice bump. Like it goes from like a very sad breakup, divorcee song, whatever you want to go with. And it does just make it a little more like, how could I say, like, we broke up, but like, you. So like it kind of takes that jump where I'm like, it's a little more comedic and I do enjoy that aspect of it. And then for my short list, I only had the one and I did Sea Stories just because I felt it had a really nice pace increase that wasn't so heavy on the horns and wasn't so shanty-ish, but still fit well in the vibe.
See, I also had Oh Sarah as my pick off of this as well. It does. It elevates the song from the original Sailor's Guide to Earth. And I'm just taking a look at my list here because I have 3 songs on my short list. 2 of them are also from A Sailor's Guide to Earth. So but that's when I tell you that Sailor's Guide to Earth is my second favorite Sturgill Simpson album. We haven't gotten to my first yet, but I had Brace for Impact, Keep It Between the Lines, and then Off of High Top Mountain Some Days was on my short list. But yeah, Oh Sarah for me definitely was the one that elevated the most because I felt like this song now had the room to expand a little bit more on the emotion.
It's almost like you go from A Sailor's Guide to Earth, Oh Sarah, and it's more of like an initial like reaction to a breakup or to the ending of something. And then this version of Oh Sarah is almost like a year and a half, 2 years down the road. There's almost an acceptance to it, which I think is cool.
Mm-hmm. The Ballad of Dude and Juanita, a concept album set during the American Civil War, featuring a guest appearance by Willie Nelson. Released August 20th, 2021, hit number 1 on the Americana folk charts, number 3 on the country charts, number 4 on the indie charts, and number 23 on the Billboard 200. And at the 2022 Grammys was nominated for Best Country Album, but lost to Starting Over by Chris Stapleton. I was not expecting a concept album set during the Civil War, but here we are. Your thoughts on this?
I think this is a really cool album, truth be told. Like when I think back to the gunslinger era of music, like the one guy that comes to mind right off the bat is Marty Robbins and kind of his storytelling through country music. And I think this is a really cool homage to that era and to that time because we really don't get anything like this anymore. Like a true story, a true ballad from start to finish, cohesive, connected in a very storybook kind of way. And I think that's really like, it's really neat. It's a struggle. It's sorrowful. It's truthfully, for a song or for an album that is just telling a very simple story that's truth be told in different forms of media, has been told over and over again. The Old West, the man's in love with the girl. This happens. He saves her. He loses people along the way. Like, it is very surface level, but in the time it came out in, it was just very unique and was unexpected. And I think that made it a fun album. Like, it's not something that I regularly go back to, or I'm like, wow, I really need to hear this song right now from the Ballad of Dude and Juanita, but it's just fun and it's unique. And that's what I've grown to love about Sturgill as an artist.
And also, this is to date the last quote unquote Sturgill Simpson album.
Yes.
Because it's getting a little different going forward. I don't know if this exists. And if it doesn't, it needs to happen. And Mr. Sturgill Simpson, if you are listening, you are welcome to the idea. This album needs a novel.
Literally. Like, that's even what I mean by like the storybook element to it. Like, I need to read more of what's going on here.
Yeah. And this would be a fact. This almost feels like an album that was like the unwritten novel of the late, great Elmore Leonard. Like, Elmore Leonard could have written this story and it would have made total sense coming from him and his, you know, the way he writes his Westerns. But off of the Ballad of Dude and Juanita, what did you go with?
So this one was tough for me just because it isn't your traditional album, but it's kind of funny because for my pick, I went with Shamrock just because I thought it had a very unique sound in an album that was very old school Western, old school outlaw style. And then for my short list, I did go with Sam, which is funny because the songs are just both about his two animals, which I think is hilarious. I think Sam is really powerful. I think this thing that stopped me from putting it as my pick was just for how short it was. Like, it felt like more of a eulogy, which is very powerful and cool, but more so than a song. And I know the song blew up on social media too, and it came out and a lot of people were using it on TikTok and a few other things. But to kind of hear the progression of the album and then get to Sam, like, it is a bit of a gut punch, and you feel that in a few different ways. And I think it's powerful for that reason. And I know a lot of people that related to it who are dog and animal owners and in a special way, and that meant something to me.
Yeah, I had played out on my shortlist, but I did go with Shamrock. You're right. It's the one that stands out the most. This is not a long album, by the way. Like, this album is only
it's like 28 minutes.
Yeah, 27 minutes, 46 seconds. But I was getting some very serious Johnny Cash vibes off of Shamrock. Like, it felt like something that would have been in Johnny Cash's repertoire.
If Sturgill Simpson and Johnny Cash lived today, or I should say if Johnny Cash was around today, like, it's almost, you could picture Sturgill being a part of the Highwaymen when you hear this album. Like, that's kind of a very related and very close-knit kind of comparison.
I wonder what a modern Highwayman would, you know, obviously you'd have to put Willie Nelson in there.
You'd have to keep Willie for sure. I think Sturgill has his place. And then another one that comes to mind is Tyler Childers. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Remember, I'm not the country guy.
This is true, but he's pretty interesting too. He's got some really, I guarantee you've actually probably heard a song or two of his just because they got so popular on social media, but he's got a similar yet higher pitched, just kind of distinct voice too, that I think would bear well with a trio of gentlemen as such.
Very, very interesting. Listeners, I want to know who you would put in a modern day Highwayman group. Make sure you hit us up on social media at Only One Cast and let us know who would make your list. But now we get to Passage du Désir. This is the first album under his alter ego, Johnny Blue Skies, released July 12th, 2024, hit number 8 on the rock alternative charts, number 9 on the country charts, number 5 on the UK country charts, and number 29 on the Billboard 200. And this is my favorite album of this entire run.
I really was not expecting that. I love it. Love that for you, but I was not expecting that to be your number one.
Oh, I mean, Sailor's Guide to Earth, number 2. It's a very close number 2. I was blown away by the different sounds I was getting on this. Like all of a sudden now it moves into a more R&B style.
It's a wide range of sound and style. And I think that's what continues to shock me even after 12 to 13 years of listening to him over the years and really just understanding what phase of life he's in. And this is the most mature version of Sturgill I think we've seen. And there's a lot of acceptance in a lot of his lyrics too. Like there's a level of acceptance of the stage of life he's in, of to who he is now, kind of his own niche. Like in a few of the songs, he mentions, and I'm obviously paraphrasing here, but not being for the radio or still not hearing it on the radio. And it's true, like he does it, but he's found his niche. Like this is a man with a very powerful ability for storytelling and music. And it just really shows itself as, this is who I am. This is who I've always been. And I'm finally comfortable with that.
So what did you go with off this disc?
So that being said, my number one pick was Who I Am. And I felt for that exact reason, as I just said, it was a really powerful self-acknowledgement. And after being a fan of his for so long, to really diving into his discography, his lyricism, like it just really felt like I was there with him. Like I got it. I understood that the world is what it is and he is who he is and he's got his place in that. So that was really powerful for me and definitely a nice change, especially after a few years of experimenting with different genres too, kind of getting back to a more, I'd say, close-knit, understood Sturgill to what I began with, but also different enough and mature enough to stand on its own. And for that reason too, my short list only had one song. I battled putting another on there, but this isn't my favorite album, but I can respect it a lot. And that song was Right Kind of Dream. And
yeah,
it hits, it scratches a really good itch. And this one was weird for me because it's definitely not in my top 3 of his albums, yet I have somehow some of the most appreciation for it, if that makes sense.
It makes total sense to me. I mean, I had Right Kind of Dream on my short list. This was one of those knockdown, drag out fights for me. You know when you got 2 songs, right? And they're both like, pick me, we're awesome songs, pick me. And you're like, I want to choose both of you, but I can't. So it came down to Jupiter's Ferry and If the Sun Never Rises Again. Okay, I have to choose. I mean, Jupiter's Ferry scratches that almost prog itch for me because it's 7 minutes and 24 seconds. But I'm actually going to go with If the Sun Never Rises Again because of the smooth Motown vibes. Like the Hammond organ on this is doing so much work. That guitar tone is so like I sat down in my chair, in my comfy lazy boy with the blanket on, the headphones on, my eyes closed, and I sank into this song. Like this is like a nice cognac kind of song. This is vibes here.
It's so true. And the heights of joy in this album are really great and are amazing. But like the deep cut, the tragic lyrics of Jupiter's Ferry in particular and moving into this one is just, there's an equally impactful beauty and darkness and contrast between the two.
Yeah, no, it is fan-freaking-tastic. But we have gone through all 8 Sturgill Simpson / Johnny Blue Skies albums. Now it's time. So Carson, remind our listeners what your 8 picks are. And from those 8 picks, if there can only be one Sturgill Simpson song, what's it going to be?
Yeah, so starting from High Top Mountain, we have You Can Have the Crown. Moving to meta-modern sounds and country music, I went with Turtles All the Way Down. A Sailor's Guide to Earth, Call to Arms. Sound and Fury, we did Remember to Breathe. Cutting Grass Volume 1, we went with Breaker's Roar. Volume 2, we did Osera. And then The Ballad of Dude and Juanita, we had Shamrock. And then wrapping things out with Who I Am. So I would definitely say if there can only be one, it's easily Sailor's Guide to Earth, and it's Call to Arms for me. If there was one song that I could listen to of his the rest of my life in a multitude of different settings, that's what it is. And it's brutal for me because Breaker's Roar is such a close second. Like it is neck and neck. If you told me right now where you're like, well, screw you, guess what? You can't have Call to Arms. I'd be like, oh no. Well, I get Breaker's Roar, so I'm not even upset.
All right. Off of High Top Mountain, I went with Hero. From meta modern sounds in country music, I went with It Ain't All Flowers. From A Sailor's Guide to Earth, I went with Carson's, sloppy seconds there, Breaker's Roar. From Sound and Fury, I went with All Said and Done. From Cutting Grass Volume 1, The Butcher Shop Sessions, I went with All Around You. From Volume 2, The Cowboy Arm Sessions, I went with Oh Sarah. From The Ballad of Dude and Juanita, I went with Shamrock. And from Passage du Désir, I went with If the Sun Never Rises Again. And I gotta say, I freaking love what he's doing with this Johnny Blue Skies alter ego. If the Sun Never Rises Again is my only one pick. Although I will admit that both Breaker's Roar and All Said and Done both were fighting for that pick. But no, it's If the Sun Never Rises Again. This is just chill. This is stank face chill, right? I've talked about stank face rock, where you just get that face when you hear the song. This is stank face chill, where you're just like kind of thing. There is a difference. There is a difference. It
totally is.
If you can't, if you can't tell by the sound of my or there is a difference between stank face rock and stank face chill.
It's beautiful. I needed that in my life today.
Oh man, God. I feel like I need like the various faces of stank face kind of shirt.
Honestly, that fit well for today.
Carson, thank you so much for this. And to you, our dear listeners, well, you guys know the drill. If there's an artist that you want us to cover on There Can Only Be One, or an album that you want us to cover on Spin Shuffle Skip, hit us up on social media at Only One Cast, or go to our website at notthatbadcast.com. And I know Carson's all psyched up because at the end of the year, Grading on a Curve returns on It's Not That Bad with the worst movies of 2025. But until that time, he's Carson. I'm Jay. You guys are awesome. This is There Can Only Be One, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Take care.